Well, good evening. Thank you so much for being here. Do apologize for a bit of a late start, but I do want to welcome you and reconvene the April 10th, 2018 regularly scheduled board meeting of the Richland 2 School Board of Trustees, where we have just returned from executive session discussing legal matters, personnel matters, student expulsions, student appeals, employment recommendations, releases, and in-district transfers. And before I begin, I'd like to take a quick moment to recognize Commissioner Swain Whitfield, Chairman of the Public Service Commission. So thank you for being here this evening to support one of our very own. So thank you very much. At this time, we'll jump right into our agenda with item 3.1, the inspirational moment, Pledge of Allegiance. Ms. Agostini.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This past weekend, I had the opportunity to attend the National School Board Association meeting in San Antonio, Texas, along with my fellow board members and Dr. Davis. At lunch on Saturday, Mr. Shad and Dr. Elkins Johnson were complimentary of the inspiration moments this year. I shared my thoughts for this evening's inspirational moment in memory of my dad, an Irishman, and it was confirmed the following day when the Hazelwood East High School's women's choir from St. Louis, Missouri, concluded their performance at our general session with the Irish blessing. May the road rise to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face. May the rain fall soft upon your fields. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the hollow of his hand. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ms. Agostini. Appreciate those inspirational words. Now move on to our next item, which is the approval agenda, item 4.1. May I get a motion?
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the agenda.
Motion is made by Ms. Agostini to approve the agenda. May I get a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Shad. If no discussion, we'll vote. Motion passes 7-0. Thank you very much. Next up is item 5.1, faculty focus. Dr. Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Our April faculty focus will come from Dr. Hope Reed from Blythewood High School. Dr. Reed will share a new initiative she coordinates called Freshman Retreat that helps ninth graders navigate the transition from middle school to high school. Dr. Reed.
Thank you. Chairman Plank, members of the school board, Dr. Davis, and executive staff, I really appreciate the opportunity to discuss our freshman retreat at Blythewood High School. Okay. This way. Okay, thank you. All right. All right. The freshman retreat that we have set up is mainly set up for freshmen, and we all know that the freshman year is a make or break year for completing high school. So research says that compared to other grade levels, the freshmen have the lowest GPA, miss more classes, more failing grades, and more misbehavior and referrals are from freshmen. So hence, I wrote a proposal and thought a need to try to implement something to help freshmen with the transition. So here's the freshman retreat concept. Once students enter or come into the freshman retreat, the first thing I say to them is, I am not an administrator, so they can remove all anxiety. And the freshman retreat concept is to work on academics, behavior, and at times to refocus. We provide interventions and not administrative actions. So the freshman retreat is to provide a safety net for freshmen. We try to accomplish this by building strong and solid relationships. It is a comfortable place to talk without any intimidation behind the desk. It helps build and repair relationships. In addition, the staff members who work in the freshman retreat help tutor and provide academic support. So we have expectations in the freshman retreat. The retreat is available for times when students may need a reprieve from the classroom environment. Students can come at any time to work on assignments in the freshman retreat, and freshmen can visit the retreat 3 times within a quarter for disciplinary action. Once the student has exhausted 3 opportunities for disciplinary actions, then the teachers can choose at that point whether they will write a referral or what actions will be taken. And this is the room. I was giving a workspace. That's the before. And I kind of used some decorating skills, stole some furniture from my house. And that's the after. And this is the actual pictures of students in the retreat. And so the process, how do students get to the freshman retreat? Students can request to go to the freshman retreat, or teachers can send them with a pass, but they must have a pass. We just don't want them to abuse the retreat. What happens while in the retreat? The support staff counsel students, allow them to discuss their frustrations or even joyous moments, and some tutoring goes along. We help them with assignments. And what happens after they leave the retreat? Support staff members will follow up with the teachers or with students just to see exactly where they are and how they're becoming. Oh, and the next slide and my final slide is some testimonials from those 2 students and a teacher who has actually used the freshman retreat.
The freshman retreat has benefited me by allowing me to come to a quiet place or a quiet work environment to work on my studies so that I could accomplish my goals. And it's not necessarily for behavioral issues, but if you do have a behavioral issue, they'll help you get to the bottom of it so that you don't get a long form or in trouble.
The freshman retreat this year has helped form me into a better person and student. I say this because earlier when I first came being a freshman, I got in a lot of trouble. I had a very bad attitude problem. I didn't get along with others well, but instead of getting in trouble, I found out about the freshman retreat, and I came here. I started talking to Dr. Reed about ways I could change my attitude and become a better person. She's given me advice. She's helped me with real life situations that help me become a better person.
I think the freshman retreat is a great area for the freshmen to go vent. Somebody's always there and always supportive. I know as a teacher of freshmen, it was a great area where even during my planning time, some of my freshmen can have a place where I can talk to them. It's a great area for kids to do their work if they need a quiet setting, because I know sometimes with the class sizes being so large, freshmen needed a place to work.
Okay, and I will be remiss if I do not acknowledge 2 of the staff members here. Coach Knapp, if you could just stand, and Coach Washington. They work with me in the freshman retreat as well. We have someone else too, Ms. Bookert. Any questions?
Thank you, Dr. Reed. Any questions, comments? Ms. Agostini?
I want to thank you so much. I came out one of the first days of school when we did our tours with Dr. Davis and was really excited to see it, but more excited when I saw you on the agenda to get a follow-up with you. Mm-hmm. I'm happy to see that it's multi-purpose. My one question would be, for the discipline portion of this, have we seen a decrease then in the discipline or the suspensions because the children or students have this place to go to?
Yes, glad you asked. Quarter 1, we saw 83% drop. In quarter 2, we saw a 48% drop. And I'm still collecting data for quarter 3.
Thank you, Ms. Agostini. Mr. Manning.
Mr. Chair, I think this is another great example, and I've talked about this a good bit to those who talk with me, the requirement that we have as a school district to take care of the social and emotional state of our students. And we look at programs like this, our social workers, our psychologists, our behavioral interventionists, our PCI programs, many of these programs that are there, such as yours, to really undergird the student so that they can be successful in the academics.
Yes.
And as we enter budget time, I hope that the district and the board is aware of the additional pressures that these programs put on our budget when it comes to the amount of money that we need to maintain not just those, but also the teachers in the classroom and the core academics. So I appreciate the work that you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Manning. Ms. Shad.
It's Dr. Reed.
Yes.
This is awesome. How long has this been in existence?
It started this school year.
So this is the first year. Okay. I did take note that a student can come up to for disciplinary reasons 3 times per quarter.
Right.
But they are allowed to come over
Unlimited
and above
time.
that as long as they get that pass from the teacher.
Correct. And the
Okay.
teacher, they will ask for permission, or the teacher will just send them, even if they see a student needs some help, needs some talking to, needs some counseling, the teacher will send them.
And so if a student does come for a disciplinary reason, is that disciplinary referral recorded anywhere? Because I understand you're saying you're not part of administration and, you know, you're on in a sense, you're on the side of the student, and the student should not necessarily come thinking, oh, you know, this is going to be on my record, or the parent is concerned.
It's not on that particular record. I keep a running log of the number of visits. So after the 3rd visit, I alert the teachers that they have exhausted their opportunity to come. And teachers are also not required to send students. I encourage them to send them, but they do not have to send them. I don't want them to think that that's an avenue that they have to go through if something potential happened and they feel a referral is necessary.
And I understand you have 4 staff persons, but of course they have things that they're handling throughout the day. So any given class period, how many students are you seeing, or is there a cap on how many you will accept?
Some days, it's been 2 days this year where we have not seen absolutely no students at all.
Okay.
We have seen at least 8 to 10 students a day. Yeah,
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Well, again, I applaud you for all that you all are doing and going the extra mile for our students, especially at Blythewood, of course. Mr. Chair, I do think that this is something that, you know, other schools may want to take note of, and especially if we have the space that's available to offer this time out for students. As you know, we just came back from our National School Board Conference, and that was one of the things they were talking about, is creating just a space where kids can just, at some point during the day, might be usually at the beginning of the day, and just kind of get away, of course, with the teacher's permission, regroup, recharge, get back on track,
right.
and then continue to be a productive student, and especially at this crucial time period. So I applaud your efforts. Thank you.
Very much.
Thank you, Ms. Shad. Ms. Mackey.
Mr. Shad, I think covered 2 of my questions. I appreciate it. Thank you for your presentation. Basically, he's covered that, and it's always good to be able to help students transition from major milestone portions in their lives. So thank you for that. And I see you've got your principal here, Mr. Cunningham. Good to see you as well.
Okay.
Thank you all for working with them.
Thank you very much.
Bless you.
Yeah.
Thank
And
you.
Dr. Reed, thank you so much. I know in my visits I've enjoyed visiting that space. It's soothing, and the lighting, I love it. And I should mention that I've been sent there. But it is good to have that thread between 5th and 6th grade, and then from 8th to 9th grade. So we applaud all your efforts and your good work. And to Mr. Chad's point about looking into that in other schools, certainly would be worth doing. At this point, we'll now move on to 6.1, special recognitions. Dr. Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, members of the board, for our special recognitions this evening, Ms. Libby Ruth will come forth to provide that information for us. Elizabeth.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. Chairman Plank, members of the board, staff, most importantly, our special guest members of the community, parents and students who are here to help us honor again some more of our premier achieving employees and students. We're going to start with some recognitions from Blythewood High School. So first, we'll call up our basketball standout, Robert Braswell, along with interim principal Bobby Cunningham, athletic director Barry Mizell, if he's here, and basketball coach Zeke Washington. No. Robert was one of 4 players in the Midlands and one of 10 players in South Carolina selected to play in the prestigious 2018 Carolina Classic All-Star Basketball game. The game features some of the top public seniors in North and South Carolina and was held last month in Wilmington. Robert scored 11 points during the face-off with North Carolina, but unfortunately, the others on the team couldn't pull their weight, and so the South Carolina team came up short. Robert, who, as you might guess, is 6'9" tall, has a wingspan, I love the information Shelley gets from me, approaching 7 feet, had a great season, averaging 15.5 points and 8.5 rebounds per game for the Bengals. Not surprisingly, he's being recruited by many colleges, but is still waiting to make his decision. But we know wherever you end up, that you will have much success. And congratulations, and thank you for your time here at Richland, too. Mr. Cunningham, you can stay right where you were. And I'm going to call up Blythewood High School Media Specialist Crystal Smith and Amy Whitfield. These 2 ladies were honored last month at the 43rd Annual South Carolina Association of School Librarians Conference held in Greenville. They, along with Blythewood High School, were the recipients of the Outstanding School Library Program of the Year for the entire state. This award honors an outstanding program that demonstrates strengths in the areas of the building the learning environment, teaching and learning, building collaborative partnerships, and leaderships. According to their principal, the Media Center is a hub of activity in the school where students are provided with innovative, inquiry-based instruction using a variety of practices. Ms. Smith and Ms. Whitfield go above and beyond what is required to create a dynamic and thriving library for their school community. And I will also add, they go above and beyond when requests come from the district office to use their wonderful space that they make so accommodating, collaborative, and perfect for filming videos, which we have taken over a few times, and they always welcome us with a big smile. Their honor carries an award of $2,000 grant for books and $500 for instructional materials. Congratulations, we are very proud of y'all. And now we call forward Catherine Campbell from Dent Middle School, and we'll ask Principal Tamla Ashford, along with our Associate for Advanced Programs, Dr. Maria Kratsios, to help us recognize Catherine up front. Ms. Campbell is no stranger to leadership in art education in South Carolina. In fact, she is the current president of the South Carolina Art Education Association, and now she has become a recognized leader on the national level. She is the Vice President-elect of the Southeastern Region of the National Art Education Association. During her term, she will work closely with the Regional Vice President and with state associations in the Southeast region. After 2 years, she will join the Board of Directors as a Vice President. And once again, she is one of those giving, collaborative people who, whenever our office or the district office calls, is always willing to help, especially when it comes with supporting our students in the visual arts. She leads the visual arts celebration that we will do later on in the spring for the entire district, where we recognize these talented artists. So congratulations on your position, and we thank you for all you do. Now it's going to be the time when we did another one of our community recognitions, but unfortunately, due to unavoidable circumstances, he is not able to be here with us. So that concludes the recognition for that. We were going to recognize Mac Bennett. who was recently named the 2017 Humanitarian of the Year by United Way. As you know, he is retired, but he has a special place in Richland too's family because for several years he served on our own foundation and supported us, and he was always very supportive of our campaign and very proud of what we did. So we will miss Mac's retirement. We hear he is moving to the Low Country to truly enjoy retirement. We'll make sure he gets his award, and if we're able to bring him back here before he moves, we will do that. So that concludes our recognition tonight.
Thank you, Ms. Ruth, and thank you, and congratulations
Much
to our
calmer than
recipients.
last time.
Yes.
So.
Congratulations to all the recipients. At this time, we'll move on to 7.1, approval of the consent agenda. May I get a motion?
Mr. Chair, before we move on, I see we have Miss Columbia sitting here before us, and I thought she was part of the recognition, and she's not, so I'm going to recognize you if you would just stand, because you're sitting there, you're beautiful. So thank you for being a part of our board meeting. Thank you. You're quite welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Elkins Johnson, and we will see her in just a minute or two on the public participation. So at this time, 7.1, approval of the consent agenda. Motion, please.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the consent agenda for our regular board meeting, April 10th, 2018.
Motion to approve the consent agenda has been made. May I get a second? Second by Dr. Caution Parker. If no questions, we'll take it to a vote. Motion passes 7-0. Thank you very much. We'll now move on to 8.1, our public participation. We have two people signed up. We do have Miss Columbia, Angela Baggett, and we have one other signed up as well, Miss, I believe it's Angela Cord. And but if I may read what the requirements are for public participation. The meeting is recorded and available for viewing on YouTube. You'll have 3 minutes to present, and we will not be commenting at the end of your participation. Please refrain from using specific references to school personnel or students, and finally start by activating the microphone, which it looks like it's on, and stating your name and address for the public record. So I'll go in alphabetical order and start with you, Miss Columbia.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Alexandra Badgett. I reside at 620 Blossom Street, apartment 208 in Columbia, South Carolina, 29201. First, I'd like to thank all of you all for your time today. I just wanted to come today per recommendation of Chairman Plank to introduce myself and let you all know that I am here and I am the reigning Miss Columbia 2018. And although, thank you. Thank you. And although my title is for the City of Columbia, I am more than eager to serve the Richland County community and the state of South Carolina. So I wanted to get up here to give you all a little information about myself. As I said, my name's Alexandra Badgett. I am a senior at the University of South Carolina. I'm double majoring in insurance and risk management and finance. My minor is actuarial mathematics, so hoping to get into the actuary field post-graduation. Yes, so love math. Keeps me busy, I promise. Yes, in addition to school that keeps me active, I'm also a university ambassador on campus. I was a 3-year veteran of the Carolina Girls Dance Team. I'm a member of the Iota Chi chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. And I've also had some experience with student government and some mentoring programs on campus. Today, as a contestant, I get to compete for the title of Miss South Carolina at the end of June. And if honored with that title, I'll be able to compete in the Miss America pageant that normally falls in September. And with that, I implement 2 different platforms, one of them being Children's Miracle Network Hospitals, which is the Miss America overall platform. My personal platform is NINE, 9, No is Not Enough. So I'm looking into the education, prevention, and looking in the policies of sexual assault, not only on college campuses, but also across the state of South Carolina. Again, I wanted to come just to introduce you guys and let you know that I am here. During my reign, I just want to be able to serve the Columbia and Richland County community to the best of my ability. So if you see any experiences that you all would like to have me at, any appearances, programs, meetings, I love mentoring, love being active in the community, so feel free to reach out to me. I do have some brochures that I can hand out with my information, contact information on them following this meeting. If you are still here and would like that information, I'll be here till the end. But again, thank you all so much for your time, and I look forward to working with you all as I continue my reign. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Badgett. Thank you, Ms. Badgett. Now, next up is Angela Cord. Forgive me if I'm not pronouncing that correctly. Angela. Okay, Angela and Cord, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And if you would start by pronouncing your name and your address for the record. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Angela Cord. I reside at 201 Aller Lane, Columbia, South Carolina, 29203. I'm here today. I know it's not supposed to be a personal matter, but it has been some allegations that has been said towards me, and I just need the district to know that I lived in this district for like 35 years. My kids went to the school. Those allegations, to best of my knowledge, are not true. And also my daughter, she's a junior at Ridgeville High School. She's now playing softball. She has a game, but she would like for me to read this letter that she would like for you all to understand. Good evening, Dr. Riley. I hope this letter finds you doing well. I'm Krista Cord, and I'm writing on the matter of my completing my senior year in Richland District 2. I have been in the district since I was in kindergarten. I have been an honor roll student since I started school. I'm not a trouble child, and I take my education very seriously. K through 5, I lived in District 2. My 6th grade year, my family had to move into District 1 because of some financial issues. But because my mom was a substitute teacher, I was able to go to school in District 2. My 9th through 10th grade year, I went to Richland North High School, which is a great school. My mom was working at Ridgeview High School, so I decided to come to Ridgeview to further my education. On the principal list, I play varsity softball, and I'm in the chorus department. I'm a great student, and about 2 weeks ago, some issues came towards my mom. Because of false allegations, now I may not be able to attend my education in Richland School District 2. Now, I can't attend any school in the District 2 because I can't do employee choice. 2018 to 2019 will be my senior year. Why do this to me now? This is my senior year. Can you please help me? I really want to stay at Ridgeview High School in District 2 because of my grades are better here. I'm a part of Ridgeview High School awesome softball team, and the chorus department here is amazing. Please help me to stay here. This is my plea for help. Thank you for your time, Mr. Riley. With great appreciation, Krista Cord. And I would like to leave this with y'all to give to Dr. Riley. And this is some information on me to put in my files of good things that have been pursued.
Thank you, Ms. Cord. This time we'll now move on to item 9.1, which is our legislative update. Ms. Mackey.
Thank you. I've given you all a little summary of some of the legislative updates that we wanted to cover. Most importantly, the Senate has improved the funding for K through 12 through their deliberations. If you remember right, the House provided a very attractive package for schools. They passed a pay increase, a step increase, but they didn't give any funding for it. They increased the base student cost by $0. The Senate has helped out quite a bit. They have, instead of a 2% pay raise, they're suggesting a 1% pay raise. Now that's not as good for teachers, but it's also less burdensome on the districts. If you remember right, the House members are all running for re-election this year, and it was a very good thing for them to propose large pay increases for everyone. The Senate did increase funding for the base student cost. They're suggesting an increase of $60. That's good. That's not as much as we got increased last year. That's about a $2 million increase to us. However, it never is easy. They changed the weighting system for poverty in the weighting system this year, and that's going to cost us about $1 million. So the net increase to us from that $60 increase in base student cost is going to be $1 million in funding. I probably will, if it's all right with you, this is kind of both a legislative update and a budget update at the same time, because what happens at the State House affects our budget so directly. They did increase funding to help the computer security, $1 million. It's interesting, they increased funding for all charter schools by $13 million. They've got a fraction of the number of students. It comes out to about a $500 per pupil increase for charter schools, and we get about a $60 increase. The last part of it is not good news, and I was very optimistic, mainly because I sat across the table and talked to him for an hour. I just was confident that Senator Shaheen's plan to get the cap raised, to eliminate the earnings cap for Terry retirees to come back and teach. I was just perhaps more optimistic than I should have been, because they were successful and Senator Leatherman killed it, so it's dead for the year. So that earnings cap lift for teachers, and hoping to provide us a little cushion there to get some of our teachers back that may not want to come back because they tarried and have that earnings cap, will maybe address next year. Couple of things I just wanted to mention in terms of the budget. And the last part of this is today is the last day for the crossover date. That's the date that the Senate and House can cross the aisle and send bills to the other. Today's the deadline, so there's no more. If there's not in one house the other now, it's not going to happen this year. The Senate's going to return their budget to the House on April the 19th, so we still won't know a whole lot until the 19th of April. The House will then go into conference committee, so we're probably still looking at the first part of May when the conference committee submits the budget to the governor to really know exactly what we think we'll be getting at our level. In terms of our budget, if it's okay, if that's the will of the board to go ahead and combine the two, I could move on, or I can come back up a few minutes from now.
Yeah, let's go ahead and stop with the legislative update there. Are you finished with that part of it?
Finished with that part, unless there are any questions.
Any questions or comments for Dr. Miley on the legislative update?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Miley.
Thanks. You're welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Miley. Thank you, Ms. Mackey. We'll now move on to item 10, which is going to be voting on our executive session items. 10.1, employment recommendations. There were no per policy voting items on that, so we'll move to 10.2, student expulsions. May I get a motion?
Mr. Chair,
Ms. Mackey.
with regard to student expulsions, for the one student listed, I move to uphold the district's recommendation.
Okay, there's been a motion made by Ms. Mackey to uphold the recommendation for student number 1. May I get a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Agostini. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Motion passes 7-0. Thank you very much. Next up is 10.3, student appeals. May I get a motion?
Mr. Chair, with regard to student appeals, for students 5 and 7, we're going to pull out to vote individually. With regard to student number 1, recommendation is to deny the appeal. For students 2, 3, and 4, the recommendation is for placement at Blythewood Academy. For student 6, the recommendation is for Blythewood Academy with corresponding LORADAC services. And for the addendum, student 1, or the only student under the addendum, the recommendation is for placement at Blythewood Academy.
The motion has been made by Ms. Mackey. As stated, may I get a second? Second by Dr. Elkins Johnson, and we'll just wait a second till we see the motion, and then we'll vote. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll take a look at the motion. Ms. Mackey, when that comes up, if you could just confirm the motion.
I will. Okay.
Motion's been confirmed and properly seconded as stated on the screen. We'll now take it to a vote. Motion passes 7-0. Ms. Mackey.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. With regard to student number 5, recommendation is to deny the appeal.
Motion's been made by Ms. Mackey to deny the appeal for student number 5. May I get a second? Second by Ms. Agostini. Any discussion? With no discussion, we'll vote. Motion passes 6-1. Ms. Mackey.
With regard to student 7, recommendation is to deny the appeal.
Motion's been made to deny the appeal for student number 7. May I get a second? Second by Dr. Caution Parker. Any discussion? With no discussion, we'll vote. Motion passes 6-1. Thank you very much. Next up is item 11, old business action requested. 11.1, approval of policy revisions. Dr. Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Ms. Williams will be coming forth this evening to provide policy proposals for the following policies. Policy GDJ, which is support staff and assignments and transfers, and GCK, professional staff assignments and transfers. Ms. Williams.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, Dr. Davis, Board, at the last board meeting, we presented policy GDJ and GCK. If there's any questions.
Okay. Is there a motion for the approval of these policy revisions?
Mr. Chair, I
Ms.
move
Eckstein.
to approve the proposed recommendations to policy revisions GCK, profession staff assignments and transfers, and GDJ, support staff assignments and transfers.
Motion's been made by Ms. Agostini. May I get a second? Second by Mr. Shad. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. Motion passes 7-0. Thank you. Next up is item 12, new business, no action requests. We'll start with 12.1, which is policy proposals. Dr. Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Dr. Miley will come before you for the following proposals to policies DN, DCA, DC, and DGA. Dr. Miley.
DN was actually up for approval, and you gave it second reading the last board meeting. However, there was a slight typo in the document, so we're submitting it again and asking you to give it again. No changes were made. It's just the document that you voted on had a typo in it, so we're asking for that correction and asking you to approve that. Policy DC and DCA are both related to bonding and tax exempt bond compliance. We felt that it was necessary to have bond counsel review these, and in addition to the School Board Association's recommendations, bond counsel has reviewed them, and they are fine as is. We have separated the two from one policy that was 13 pages long into one policy and an administrative rules, so those are the changes we're recommending. Does anyone have any other questions about these policies?
Any question? We won't be voting on any of these tonight, but any questions or comments related to these policy proposals?
These are pretty meaty proposals. Again, we're relying on our bond counsel, who is our experts in bond and tax law, to help us make sure that we have these drafted correctly.
Hearing no questions, thank you, Dr. Miley.
Thank you.
Well, you might as well sit tight. Item 12.2, update on the budget, Dr. Miley.
Good evening.
A lot of hats tonight.
So good. Haven't seen you all in a long time. As I was talking a minute ago, Senate Finance it's not as much as we certainly would like. It's not as much as Superintendent Spearman has recommended. She's asked for $125 per base student cost. Senate has recommended $60. I mentioned a minute ago that that's roughly would have been $2 million last year to us. They revised the weighting. It seems like every time they revise the weighting, we don't come out ahead, but we're losing about $1 million. So the net impact for that $60 base student cost is about $1 million to us. We see that so far that the estimates are that the fringe benefit line of funds from the state will be up about $1 million. EIA dollars, it might be about $1 million. We're still looking at local government funding in terms of local taxes from Richland County. And what I wanted to do was finish and remind, and hopefully it's still on everybody's schedule and fits everybody's schedule, for a work session next Tuesday, the 17th. That's where we will be bringing you both the summary of your priorities, the results of our survey of all employees and staff, and then our first recommendations in terms of the budget.
Thank you,
With
Dr.
that,
Miley.
I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Any questions for Dr. Miley? All right. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Move on to 12.3, update, Gear Up. Dr. Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Ms. Kristen C. will come forth and provide an update on our Gear Up programs, grants. Thank you. Ms. C.
Good evening, board members, and thank you for an opportunity to come and speak with you and give you an update on the Gear Up grant that we have here in Richland School District 2. Just as a short reminder of it, this grant is currently in its 4th year. Our students are a cohort model, which they are in the 10th grade, and we will actually follow these students into their first year of college. The grant also works with 3 other school districts: Calhoun, Lawrence 55, and Lawrence 56. So the big thing to really know about our grant is that it fits into really so well with everything that Richland 2 believes, which is for all of our students to be college and career ready. And so we do a lot of work with student services, academics, prepare them for graduation, but we also offer services of parent and student workshops, mentoring, college trips, and counseling students. So what I really want to do today is just to highlight in the 4 high schools here in Richland School District 2 some of the innovative programs that they have put in place this year. And I'm going to start with Spring Valley High School, which has a College Connections English Learners Mentoring Program that we began at the beginning of this school year. Working with the Teaching and Learning Department and the English Learners Department, we have pulled a cohort of students that are English learners, and they attend mentoring sessions about once a month. We also do parent workshops, and our goal is to help them through the process over the next 3 years to be college and career ready. And it has been very innovative, and what's really great is that as we look at it in the district and at Spring Valley, we're looking at actually, Mr. Timoni, at looking at taking this and extending this to other grade levels. So it's a great opportunity for hopefully sustainability of the GEAR-Up grant to the other the other grade levels. At Westwood High School this year, we have the Chick-fil-A Leader Academy. Richland 2 was actually pursued in the Teaching and Learning Department for a school to become a Chick-fil-A Learning Academy. It is a mentoring program. Westwood gladly took this program on. It is a mentoring program where the students also get to do projects that will help their community. So they have done a small learning project where they have prepared food for the needy, and then they will do a larger one. They also have computer-based programs that help them to become better citizens and better students. And so they will continue doing this for the next 2 years. At Ridgeview High School, we have actually implemented this year a hybrid academic tutoring program. And what that is we have students who have the opportunity to do face-to-face tutoring with a tutor, but we have also put into place where they can do online tutoring. And so what this allows is this allows our students to have more flexibility. They can do tutoring at pretty much any time of the day. They actually have the same tutor on a consistent basis. And it opens up opportunities for our students, for instance, who have to go home and take care of younger siblings, or who have jobs, or who are on athletic teams, a variety of things. And so this has been very successful. When we first instituted it, we did a small program and did a survey of our students, and the students, believe it or not, rated it over 70% that they really liked it. And so I think that says a lot about the program there. And then our last one that I'd like to just highlight at Richland Northeast High School is the huge PSAT, SAT initiative that they did this year to really help to prepare the 10th graders there to take the PSAT, knowing that that is one of the major tests that is going to be a huge benchmark for them to get into college, and that we're really looking at the long journey, not waiting until the end of the junior year to prepare them, but knowing that that preparation takes time. It's a marathon, not a sprint. And so those are some of the things, but then I would like to also say that all of these programs, the success of them really depends on the collaboration that we have had both with the administrative teams in each of the 4 high schools, and then also the Teaching and Learning Department and other departments here at R2I2. And so I'd like, if there are any questions or any comments.
Okay, Board, any questions or comments from Ms. C? Ms. Mackey.
Thank you for your presentation. As you well know, my son was a product, as they have Gear Up, and he loved it. It was an amazing program. And it looks to me like you've expanded your parameters some. I think at the time it was, college-based, and making sure that you expose them to different schools and educational opportunities. But it looks like those parameters have greatly expanded. I like that. How is your budget with Gear Up? Does a grant increase, or does each school kind of exert their own flexibility? Because this is has blossomed into much more than what it started. Complementary in a good way.
Yes, in a good way. I think you're exactly right. One of the things that we do have a set budget each year, and each district, there are 4 budgets, one for each of the districts. Within that, if a school, we do have a college support specialist, a Gear Up person at each of the schools, if they, working with their admin team, want to do something different, then they talk to me, and what we do is we request a change in funding. excuse me, for instance, the hybrid tutoring model at Ridgeview High School. There was not the money in there to do the online tutoring, but we had money in other categories that was a carryover, so we request that, we investigate, we work with the admin team there, really having, some really good conversations and some planning with it, then go to the program officer through email and request that. And we've been very fortunate, I think, but I think because we really have thought out the programs with the team here.
I understand. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Mackey. Dr. Elkins-Johnson.
Ms. C, thank you so much for what you do, and I had an opportunity to work with you too, and you do a great job. I noticed that all of the high schools have different initiatives. Is that a site-based decision, or is that something you came up with? Because I'm thinking about the PSAT and SAT would be great at all of the schools.
Okay. So tonight, I just wanted to kind of highlight something, a little morsel from each of the schools. And actually, I will say this, the PSAT, SAT initiative, we are really taking across to all of the schools in Richland School District 2. The hybrid model of tutoring is at 2 of the schools currently. It is also at Richland Northeast. They are just beginning it. And then the College Connections for our English learners is at just 2 of the high schools where we have a high need for that. That is at R&E and at Spring Valley. So we are really, some of the things we're starting small, and then as we see that they're successful and that we can really do them, then other schools, I always say, if you want to try that, go see it at that school and talk to that person there. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Elkins-Johnson. Any other questions or comments from the board? Thank you, Ms. C. Thank you so much for your report tonight.
Thank you for your time.
All right, next up is 12.4, update on mentoring. Dr. Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members of the board, we have Dr. Tasha Morgan, our lead school counselor, who will share an update on the district's mentoring initiatives. Dr. Morgan.
Good evening, Chairman, board members, Dr. Davis, executive staff. It's always a pleasure to come before you, and I thank you for this opportunity. Even though you see my face, there is a small but mighty army that works with me on this initiative, and so I would be very negligent to take any amount of credit. They do an incredible amount of work to bring forth this initiative. From our group, I'm very proud to say that we've had many promotions to assistant principals, to principalships, and even to superintendents. So you come in, work with me, and you're going to go places. All right, so many years ago, about 4 years ago, we began our initiative with a group of like-minded individuals, and our charge was to emphasize mentoring in the district. And we did not really know how to do that. Obviously, we did not have the authority to say to every school, you have to do this. But we wanted to create an atmosphere that it was conducive and expected. And so we started with a framework that we now call GPS, but stands for Goals, Principles, and Service. And that is what guides and informs all of the mentoring program activities and initiatives across the district. Since that time, we have grown from a meager maybe 10 to 12 schools participating in our district initiatives to now having pretty much all of our schools participating, maybe not at the same time of an initiative or an event, but throughout the course of the year, all of our schools are participating in some way or another. Sorry, Tony. We began many years ago with our Bow Ties and Brunch. That was more of our inaugural event. And we had approximately right at 100, maybe close to 200 students that participated in that. And from there, we focused on just manhood principles, leadership development, and then we moved forward to draft day, in it to win it. Our first year of the initiative, we decided to focus on males because they were the most at risk in our population. And so with draft day, we brought back students who were graduates, who are current college students, are doing very successful work in the community. and they hosted the conference for us. And we also had our high school male students to lead the sessions for that event. And I like to say it was probably one of the first student-led initiatives that I know of across our region. And then, of course, we could not forget our girls. We moved into our Girls and Pearls series, and at that time, we invited women from the community. We called them our WOWs, our Women of Wisdom, and we had about 75 professional women that came and pearled our girls and just really spent time imparting love and wisdom on them that day. And we moved into doing a girls student-led leadership conference. We call that GLIT, Girls Learning Interactively Through Teamwork. And again, we give our students the opportunity to showcase their leadership skills by leading sessions for their peers. And so their advisors work with them throughout the year in order to do that. Our final installment has been the Navigating Through Life Male Leadership Conference, and we themed it around a book, From Average to Awesome, and invited the author, Tim Bowers, to come and keynote the event. And he also led a panel that featured our very own James Shadd, and we appreciated his insight and wisdom. They called it the man cave. I don't know what they spoke about because they kicked the women out, so I can't account for what was covered in there, but but our boys came out charged up, fired up, and ready to go, so it must have been some good stuff going on in there. The question is, are schools getting the message? And so I just pulled some simple data from 2015 to where we are now, just to give you a comparison. And this is just data of events that we've hosted as a district. Back in 2015, we had approximately 15 schools during that year participate, and now we have an average of about 32 participating. Number of males that participated moved from 150 to approximately 400 students now participating. Number of female participants, 365 to close to 500 females participating. I think our schools have gotten the message. I think that the expectation has been set that every school is to provide some type of mentoring opportunity, and they are doing that vigorously throughout the district. Why do we do this? Before I move to that, one of the impacts that we've uncovered is that we have been picked up as a partner with our National Guard office as a result of just great work, and the ideals that the military embodies really mesh well with our GPS framework, and they have asked to partner and finance a good portion of our mentoring activities. So we're very excited about that. I'm very thankful to Sergeant Screen and Sergeant Curry over at the National Guard office, actually right across the parking lot over there. Also, we've implemented 7 Mindsets curriculum in about 11 mentoring programs across the district, so we hope to be able to expand that next year. We've gotten reports from schools that discipline incidences in their mentoring programs have decreased, attendance has increased, and they've seen an increase in their academic achievement scores as well. Why we do this, I can't say it any better than this.
Responsibilities of leadership is really making sure that you and your peers are always on top of your game. You know, you want to lead a group of young men that are like-minded, so you have to make sure that your mind is always on the goal that you have set. Being in a mentoring program helped me with my leadership skills because I've seen other people who run the program, how they operate in their positions in the school as administrators or guidance counselors, and they showed me how if they can do this, that I can also teach my fellow students and my peers how to succeed in life.
And that is why we continue to do the work that we do. I do want to say thank you to each board member. I think over the course of the years, I've seen each one of your faces at our events, and that speaks volumes. That's an important initiative enough for you to take time out of your day, and we definitely appreciate that. Dr. Davis, absolutely. My hat goes off to you just for entrusting me to do this work and taking care of us in the process. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Dr. Morgan. Any questions or comments for Dr. Morgan?
Thank you. Have a great
Thank
evening.
you so much. Next up is agendas for our next meeting, item 13.1. Dr. Davis, for the April 24th, 2018 meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, members of the board, for our future agenda items for April 24th, 2018, we have student expulsions and appeals, student readmission requests, adult education requests, special recognitions. We'll have student focus from Lake Carolina Lower, a legislative update. We'll do our approvals for policy revisions for Section D. We'll have additional policy proposals for Section D. We'll have our second reading of the general fund budget for 2018-2019. As a matter of fact, I think that's a typo. We will take that out because we hadn't had the first reading as of yet. Yes, we'll have the first reading. Approval of our honors courses, approval of our for health committee, a report on policies KFB, which is community use of district conference and facility, and a report on administrative rule KFB, which is also community use of district conference facilities.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. Any other items for consideration for future board meetings? Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Davis. Next up is item 14.1, public participation number 2. We do not have anyone signed up. However, if you'd like to address the board, please do so now. Okay, seeing no one, we'll move on to item 15.1, board and superintendent comments. I'm trying to go from memory, but this time I'll start down with Ms. Agostini. We'll go this way.
You're right. It's my turn to
It's
start.
your turn. Yes, okay. Your turn to start.
Sometimes I'm not too excited about that when I'm first. But I wanted to say thank you to all of our presenters and congratulations to all those that were recognized. Also, as many of you know, my father passed away last month. On behalf of our family, the Michael Burke family, I thought I was going to get through this. I'd like to express our gratitude for the flowers, the kind words, the prayers, and the support that you all sent. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Agostini. Mr. Shad.
Dr. Franklin knows to have my tissue ready. Thank you all for the presentations. As I said earlier, we had a great conference, a great time for us to just kind of hang with each other and get to know each other even more and kind of press on towards the core four. And so I look forward to us continuing to build as a team, as a board. Thank you for the administration that we have, of course, our faculty and staff. We're going into the final stretch of the school year, so I applaud you all for what you all do. The finish line is near. Let's just get through it and do very well. Congratulations to Miss Columbia. I'm extremely impressed by you. And as a father of 4 girls, I'm going to make sure that they see this video and hopefully one day meet you. And lastly, Mr. Chair, of course, one of our big partners at Fort Jackson, biggest supporters, one of our big supporters. I just want to commend, there's going to be a new commander, Brigadier General Milford Beagle Jr. He is a South Carolina native. He is a graduate of South Carolina State University. Might have been college then. Yeah, university. As a point of personal privilege, he's also a member of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. So we welcome him. Welcome my brother. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shad. Dr. Caution Parker.
Great presentations this evening. Thank you very much. Thank you, Lindsay, for that inspirational moment. That was very nice. Great student focus that appears to be very effective. The program that was mentioned earlier this evening. And it seems to be very much needed in all of our high schools. And I'm trying to remember the name of it, and I cannot remember the name of it, the earlier presentation from Richland. Freshman retreat, that's it. My son, my oldest child, will be 45 in June, and I will never, ever, ever forget his freshman year at Richland Northeast High School, when I wondered, what was I thinking? What was I thinking? But he made it through. He made it through. So, but that's a very, very special time. A very special time. And congratulations to all of our award recognition honorees this evening. I had the distinct honor of hiring Miss Campbell when I hired Mr. Price as teachers at Denton Middle School. That tells you how many years ago that's been, a long time ago. And Miss Columbia, it was very nice to hear from you. Very nice indeed. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Caution Parker. Dr. Elkins Johnson.
No comments.
Thank you. Ms. Mackey.
Just echoing my board members, fellow board members' sentiments. The mentoring program, Dr. Morgan, bless you for updating us on that, and for Dr. Davis leading that charge in so many ways. As always, for those people who are here because you choose to be, bless you for spending your evening with us. For those who have to be, with name tags typically and microphones, bless you for being here and doing all that you do behind the scenes to make this work, because we don't do this alone. Ms. Badgett, welcome. My son is also a senior at USC, and I think his chapter, Zeta Zeta, partners with you all quite a bit. So it was good to see you. Thank you for being here and being a positive role model for girl power everywhere. Bless you. Bless you.
Thank you, Ms. Mackey. Mr. Manning.
No comment.
Thank you, Mr. Manning. We'll move on to Dr. Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board, executive staff, and to our guests. Nominations are open for the first class of the Richland 2 Order of the Flame. The Richland 2 Education Foundation has established the Order of the Flame to recognize graduates and former employees and friends of the district whose civic, professional, and volunteer activities have significantly enriched the lives of others. Nomination forms are available online and are due by April the 30th. The first class of honorees will be celebrated in October. Please come and share your thoughts and ideas about diversity and inclusion in our district. The Office of Diversity and Multicultural Inclusion is hosting a series of 4 community conversations. The first is a joint parent advisory council meeting and a community conversation on inclusion scheduled for April the 16th at 6 p.m. right here at R2I2. The second, focusing on discipline and bullying, is scheduled for noon on Wednesday, April 24th at Windsor United Methodist Church. It will be led in Spanish with English translation. Check the district's website for the remaining 2 dates, locations, and times. April is Alcohol Awareness Month, and the Project Care Coalition will participate in the annual statewide Out of Their Hands campaign, host a World Cafe Town Hall meeting, and participate in a national prescription drug take-back. Thursday, April 12th, from 6 to 7:15 p.m., you are invited to attend the World Cafe Town Hall meeting held at R2I2. The town hall meeting is planned for high school students, representatives, and coalition members. Healthcare professionals and law enforcement will participate in discussions on drug use and trends, how to have a healthy conversation about substance use, and the importance of prevention. And I also would like to take an opportunity to thank Dr. Reed, Ms. C., and Dr. Morgan for their awesome presentations this afternoon. You're truly an example, and the things that you are passionate about and leading in our district is the reason why we continue to strive to be the premier school district, period. Thank you. Dr. Mata doesn't get a shot on.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. Mr. Shedd made reference to it earlier. We attended a conference, a National School Boards Association conference, and the theme this year was Be Extraordinary. You know, it's an awesome feeling to be able to travel to a conference like that. And it covered things from governance to tech to school safety, programming, curriculum, everything in between. So many different breakouts. We gained a lot of knowledge that way. But the one theme that went through it all was being extraordinary. And it's neat to see Miss Columbia, to see you, Miss Badgett, and then also the Gear Up, the fall retreat, the kids go to a fall retreat, freshman retreat, Gear Up, and the mentoring program. Those are all things about being extraordinary. So I appreciate all that we do here. We are the premier district, period, and we're also extraordinary. So thank you for being here this evening. And this point, we do not need to, we were able to cover everything in our first executive session, so without any objection, we'll now adjourn. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.